have a neat computer from 1997, but I don't know much about it or even if it works, so let's just dive into it. Greetings, and yeah, what we got here in LGR this time is a computer that I do not know a whole lot about, and that is exciting. At least it is to me. Obviously it is a Gateway 2000 from late 1997, I think. It's a G3 266, one version of it anyway. And yeah, this is a Pentium 2 MMX machine, assuming it has 233 megahertz, judging by the model name. But like I said, I don't really know for sure what's in here. This was literally just dropped off with me. My friend Billy Core got a really awesome load of computers over in Tennessee, and as he was driving on the way back, he handed this and some other stuff off with me and freed up a little bit of room in his car. But yeah, thank you very much to Billy for that. And I was not familiar with this particular body case style of Gateway. In fact, I don't even know how. Okay. Well, all right, so it's a G6 233M. Interesting. But yeah, I guess that's how that comes off. It's not hinged how I thought. But yeah, I was not familiar with this exact style of tower case from them, and in case you're not aware, Gateway 2000 company released all sorts of slightly better spec than usual PCs. In fact, they had some pretty high-end stuff too, so it was always kind of a step up from your Packard Bells and whatnot. I've collected and had a bunch of them over the years. I've restored one on LGR in the past that actually sent over to Ian of Brutal Moose, who uses that, I think still is his Windows 98, or I think it's an XP machine now. But yeah, this is an older version of that type of thing, I think, in terms of this being like one of the consumer or home multimedia models, but I don't know for sure. I do find it amusing that it has this power button operation sticker still on there. Probably because it was confusing and they chose to leave it on. Power management enabled, has all these things happening. Your system status changes depending on how long you press it and holding it in 5 seconds or not, or green, amber, different LEDs. It also does reset with that button as well. Oh my goodness. It just seems like a bit silly to do all that with one button. Why not just put more buttons? But yeah, I'm going to look this up real quick and see maybe how much it costs, what exactly might be in here. All right, so this came up pretty quickly. Actually, it was a bunch of results. There usually are, because they advertised pretty frequently back in the day. Gateway did. It was a July 10th, 1997 issue of PC Magazine, Gutsy Systems. This is the G6 266 XL. This is more of the case style that I was more familiar with for this generation of them, but I guess by late 1997, they came up with this more rounded, bulbous case design, which I do not like as much, but it's fine. It's the specs that count. So the G6 233M, $2,649 in 1997. So that much adjusted for inflation in the current year. My goodness. Not cheap, but the lowest end of their G-Series multimedia systems. Of course, they also had G-Series Professional and Destination. They also had like the E-Series and the NS and I think the P or something. I don't know. They had a bunch of different things. The multimedia ones were just the home computers for doing multimedia. 233 megahertz, Pentium 2, 32 megs of RAM. It would have come with a monitor at one point, STB Verge GX 4 megabyte graphics, PCI graphics, 3.2 gig hard drive, 16-speed max CD-ROM, 3.5-inch drive. They added the CDRW to this one, whoever had it last. And Sonic Wavetable card, that'd be cool. Telepath modem. They do call this a mid-tower case. It's a pretty big case, but compared to the full tower cases, yeah, this was actually pretty mid. It came with some software and stuff. I don't know, this doesn't have that. In fact, I don't even know if the hard drive's in there. I don't know if the stuff is still installed in there, but we're gonna find out. Let's go ahead and turn it around, see what's inside, sort of, and then open it up. Yeah, I don't know. See what kind of condition it's in, and hopefully get this thing going. Well, at least I know it has some good rubber feet on there. That thing is not going anywhere. So up top here we have A power supply, I'd be surprised if it was any more than a couple 100 watts. Got an area for a cooling fan that I've actually never seen one installed in one of these cases. It's always covered up with more metal. But yeah, PS2 ports for keyboard and mouse, 2 presumably USB 1.1 ports there, parallel to COM ports for serial. No integrated sound, which is interesting. It is a separate sound card of some kind there. Got a blank here. Who knows what's been done to this? In fact, this, video card is not fully in there. We do have Ethernet that's been added to it at some point. There is our good old telepath modem from Gateway. A couple of changes have happened at some point. Let's get some light here. Cool. Well, yeah, nice little slot 1 Pentium 2 right there. It's looking as it should. Delightful looking capacitors. Jiggly GPU. Let's see what this is. A fair amount of RAM, whatever's going on. Well, I'm gonna have to look this up. Well, it's got a Dell part number, and that comes up as an NVIDIA TNT2 AGP card with 32 megs of RAM. That is a significant upgrade to the 4 megabyte thing it probably originally had. Let's see what we got going on with this RAM, because we only got one stick here. It is a single Crucial module with 128 megs. Again, an upgrade. So whoever had this thing, upgrade the RAM, the video, added Ethernet, CDRW, who knows what else. What is this hard disk? MPF3 10AT. It's a Fujitsu 10 gig. Okay. So again, seemingly an upgrade. I think what did that say it had? 4 or 6 or something originally? No doubt the little CR2032 will need to be replaced. If it hasn't been already, I don't know. Like if somebody was upgrading this, maybe they really kept it in good shape. This power supply has a Newton power, 200 watts. I was pretty dead on there, but that's usually what these have, so whatever. Don't know if the floppy drive and the CD-ROM are original, but yeah, they're not even hooked up. Like the hard drive, none of the drives are hooked up, except maybe the 3.5-inch floppy. Nice though that this board has AGP, 4 PCI, and 2 16-bit ISA slots. That is pretty handy. One of them taken up with this modem. Who cares though, probably take that out. Our sound card here, we have it's an Ensoniq ES1370 audio PCI. Don't know if I've ever used one of these exactly. I probably have on another Gateway, but certainly not something I've used very often, if so. Oh, that was in there tightly. So here is our extremely generic Ethernet card. Farallon. Never heard of that, but we got a cheap little Realtek RTL 8029 AS chip there. So it is just the most basic. It does LAN. Get our delightful GPU back in there and hook things up again, and yeah, we'll see if it just powers on. I don't know, this is probably connected to the hard disk. I don't want to plug those in yet. I just want to power it on first, and then we'll see about the drives. It ain't working. It's not staying on. Turns right off. Power cycling and making the fan do stuff, but it's like I'm having a cold start it. Oh, wait. It's staying on now. Oh, hey, we got a video signal. All right. Well, I don't know what's up with that power on. It didn't say anything about having to hold it in or press it multiple times, but anyway. So far, so good. Pentium 2, 233, 128 megs of RAM. I'm sure we've got a dead battery. Yup. All right, so far, so standard. And got a nice little BIOS here. We'll get a new battery here in a moment. Like I said, nothing's plugged in except for, I think, the floppy drive. That's it, so it's not going to detect anything. All right, well, let me go ahead and get the battery replaced real quick. See if it turns off easily. Yep. Nope. Nope, it restarted. All right, well, that's a little wonky. You do have to hold it 5 seconds. The reset is just powering it off and then powering back on again. I misread that. I still don't know why it's being weird with power on. Anyway, let's fix this dang battery and get the crap plugged in and narpadar. This drive's all plugged in. I think all of the jumpers are in the right location. We'll see. And since we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and replace or look at the thermal paste pad situation on our slot 1. And typically with these, you just push these little tabs all the way in like that and they'll just slide out. But this one I notice has one of these extra little bits under here. And that's just all that needs. There we go. Should slide out with no effort. I mention that because I've had some trouble with this design before and I didn't realize that. There's also sometimes little things you got to push in on the side there, but not on this one. There we go. Our lovely Pentium 2 233 slot 1 deal. And there's no fan, just this big old beefy heat sink, which we'll need to remove to get to the inside. Slightly annoying little screws on there, but should have some of those. Well, maybe this isn't one where you have to take the heatsink off. I sure hope not, because man, it's like they torque those things in there so hard. The heads are warped a little bit on the top of the screw there, the bolt or whatever. I feel like I'm going to break it if I pull any harder or any... I mean, I've gone all the way across this edge here. Certain models of these just split apart with the plastic there, and this just, it comes off quite easily. And just out of curiosity, I did look it up and found a video of this guy just brutalizing this poor Pentium 2 here, and eventually he was able to get in, but it was like 3 minutes of just chopping away at the plastic. Eventually he gets in there by just snapping off a piece of it, or I don't know. This is not something I want to do to mine, is what I'm saying. It's possible, but you know what? I'm just gonna leave it as is for now. I can add a fan if needed. These Pentium 2s don't run extremely hot. We should be okay, but you know. I do have a blank spot there. Let me get a cover for that. Yeah, makes me feel better at least. All right, that is a noisy hard disk. I know. So anyway, it detected that, and it detected the Toshiba CD-ROM. There's nothing detected from whatever the other one is, that HP burner. Okay, we've got power, it opens up. Cable select is what the jumper is on. IDE cable's in the right spot for pin 1. It should be okay. I'm going to move that cable select, because that can be a little odd. It's a pain in the dick to get to, though. Yeah, it's all the way in there. It's annoying or whatever, it's fine. There we go. Yeah, so that was all I needed, was the jumper change. Yay. All right, so we have it set to, yeah, we're just gonna try and boot from the hard disk, see if there's anything on there. DOS 6.22 boot disk right here. Let's see if that works. If we see anything here, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's not even, I would assume there's not even a partition. Yeah, nothing. If this checks out, I'm going to see about using one of these recovery disks on archive.org. I'm just going to try this one, 5.5. It seems to be an early 1998 one, and lo and behold, somebody else mentioned using it to restore a G6 233M. So hopefully that'll do the trick. I don't know if we actually need to format this first, or if the restoration media will just do that. I'm assuming it will, but it can't hurt, right? I'm gonna grab me some more coffee and burn that CD. Come back in a bit. Well, I set it to try and boot from the CD, and didn't seem to want to do that, so I guess it's going on the floppy disk. Oh, it just doesn't want to read it. Oh, it's getting there. Wow, it's just really being wonky, huh? Do we just got a dirty drive? Maybe that's why they added a second drive and just didn't replace the original, because it does have a kind of a custom bezel on the front, but you should just be able to replace that and swap the bezel out. That read straight away. So I'm assuming we just got a wonky drive with that first one. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. All right, so yeah, for sure we just got a bad drive. The OG one up there at the top. So that's a prime candidate for cleaning and maybe swapping. Gateway System Restoration Program. Well, said it was ready to go, and now it does not detect the CD in either drive. I don't know, it was working just fine. It's trying to maybe load from the top or the original CD drive, which is the one that doesn't work. So that's that could be an issue. I'm just gonna go ahead and replace that drive. I mean, it might clean up and work just fine, but let me see what else I got. Yeah, I was thinking maybe one of these. It is a Toshiba from October 98. Pretty darn similar. All right. This was testing working last time I tried it, so. Just gonna leave the bezel for now and do a quick test, see if this fares any better. Nah, this one's worse. It won't even keep a disc in the drive. Okay, starting over on that end, I got a random other 50-something speed drive going there just to test that. And while we're waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this, because my goodness, it sure is dusty. That could be all it is. Cleaned and lubed what needs to be, so fingers crossed. All right, we're getting somewhere with that no-name drive, so that's good. I did notice that when it started working, though, it also started asking for the OS CD-ROM, which is not the recovery one. But I couldn't even get past that point because it wasn't reading anything. Well, anyway, I just put in a random Windows 95 CD. All right. The plan at this point is to get it installed, hopefully. Okay, and the CD-ROM there we know that works, and then we'll try this one again. Well, this is different. We got an Audio Station 2 Voyetra thing going, so I guess this is some gateway shenanigans. Oh, all right, we're just into Windows. Yeah, install that too. Just install all the things. Wow, that CD-ROM drive is horribly loud. 56 speed. Definitely want to replace that if we can. Well, good news and bad news. The good news, Windows 95 installed. It's got stuff put on here that it wanted to put on here, like this gateway.net internet connection, which we're not going to be able to do anything with, of course. And some other stuff like the Voyetra Audio Station things, just your classic kind of sound and audio playback stack from Voyetra, gateway branded, which is nice. But this brings us to the problem, and no, that problem is not McAfee Virus Scan, even though it did install that as well. Now, what I mean is the sound. It doesn't work. Like, we get popping and noise and clicking, and that's it. And it did install it. Apparently, it's actually a Creative Labs InSonic device. I don't know. Anyway, it showed up as a Sound Blaster Audio PCI 64V. Yeah, this, I've tried each of these modes. All these the same no matter what. I have IRQs free and stuff. I even changed around the settings for certain things and tried it in DOS. Uninstalled and reinstalled the drivers and tried some different ones. That didn't work either. What's weird is I kind of heard the sound was trying to come through at first, but just kind of noise was on top of it, and now there's nothing but popping. So I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to simply start from scratch, like a fresh Windows 95 install, none of the gateway stuff, and then just install individual drivers that maybe work a little better, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, because like the NVIDIA card, I already had to put some separate drivers on there. It didn't even come with any special wallpapers. I put this on here myself. I have options, but I kind of don't want to do any of them. You know, it's like, do I take this card out and replace it with something that I know for sure is good? Do I just take this card in put that in another system and test it there? Or just restart from scratch, you know, or go with a completely fresh Windows 95 installed? Don't even mess with any of that gateway stuff and then add the drivers on my own. Or, you know, I have usually good luck with these Gateway Restore CDs, but the fact that this one is not finding everything exactly, like the USB stuff in particular, and the modem should be on there too. It's just, there's weird stuff, right? So, don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Let's see if that CD-ROM works. Yeah, that's what it was doing earlier. Interesting. So turn it off, and it kind of comes back. Hey, all right. Not that we'll have any sound, but we can install the MMX variant of Pod. Since this is an MMX machine, we have the support for that optional version. Nice. All right, well, I guess the original CD-ROM drive is going, so that's one thing taken care of. It really is just coming down to the sound now, and I'd like to get the USB going. Just out of curiosity, I grabbed and tried a third set of drivers. I swear it does something different with every set of drivers. Kind of want to just wipe everything and start over, you know? On the road again to formatting and doing that stuff. I also took out the modem and the Ethernet because we don't need them. Just put the sound card in a different slot. See what happens now. Well, what happened is it's the next day. I was up till 10 p.m. last night working on this and getting everything all sorted. And eventually I did, for the most part. It is a complete success with Windows. It is running, performing, working so much better, fully stable now. I was running into some stability issues as well. I don't know if I showed those earlier, but yeah, I ended up swapping out the RAM because it was wonky and that 128 megabyte module, I don't know where it came from. So I just put another known working module in there and all those crashing stability issues went away. So yeah, that's cool. Added a couple little customization bits in here because I felt like it. And it actually has the proper InSonic drivers, not the later ones from when Creative took over. So you have all this in here. You have different MIDI versions of the waveset you can mess around with if you want. You can add more if you want to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what we had earlier, except now it's actually working without any weird corrupted sound. Really, as soon as I put those drivers in here with this fresh Windows OSR 2.5 install, it just worked straight away. I haven't had any weird issues at all with sound. And I got the USB going also, which turned out to be easier than I thought because inside there you actually have a nice OEM variant of Intel's SE440BX motherboard, it turns out, which is very easy to find proper updated drivers for, well, as updated as they get anyway. It's a very well-regarded board, so I was happy to see that's what we have. The only problem is the optical drive situation because they both shat themselves in different ways. Truly unfortunate because this one that cleaned up, it was working fantastically. That's how I installed all the Windows and the software and the drivers, everything. But yeah, the gear broke for the ejecting mechanism, so it just slides freely now. Yeah, it reads perfectly fine. It was performing great, but yeah, I might have to try and find a gear replacement or 3D print that or something. And then you'll notice the CDRW was no longer in there. I put this 56 speed one, the incredibly loud, annoying, noisy one, just for now until I find another replacement. But yeah, the CDRW, it just died in a way I haven't seen. Let me show you. Yeah, it just straight up does not get any power at all anymore. It was showing a red light, and then it just turned off. And yeah, nothing is happening no matter which connector I plug it into. And just to be sure, we are getting 5 volts there, 12 volts there. All the connectors that I've tested work just fine. Just some wonky stuff. Terrible luck with these optical drives, but I'm gonna put this thing below the desk so it's not friggin' loud with the CDs going. And let's try some software games. And we're gonna start with Ubisoft's Pod. Now, this particular version of the game is retail, just regular 2.0. Don't have any patches applied to get direct 3D acceleration going, but it will run in software mode just fine, so. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, even without full Direct 3D or anything, I think it still looks pretty darn good for what it is. Certainly in a nostalgically accurate kind of sense, because, yeah, when I first played this back in the day, it was on my Acer Aspire with a 233 megahertz AMD K6 CPU. And no 3D acceleration, so it looked just like this and performed not too far off from this. So, yeah, to me, like, this is just what Pod looks like. I'm so used to it that whenever I do run it in full, like, you know, Glide 3D FX mode or Direct 3D or anything, it kind of seems too crisp and, I don't know, software mode Pod. It works. Strictly through rose-tinted glasses, but also just on an aesthetic level, I think it kind of fits the whole theme of weirdness, and it's just one of those games that it looks good in software mode, in my completely biased opinion. All right, it works just how you'd hope. You have to install a patch to get Direct 3D going with this version and this video card going, though.
Welcome to Westwood.
Yeah, another set of lovely memories for me on that particular machine.
Thanks for visiting.
Command & Conquer Red Alert.
Mission timer initialized. Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir?
All right. Let's get you down here and build a base.
No.
New construction options.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Affirmative.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
Nice.
Agreed. Very well.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Heck yeah. Give me more dudes, I'll take more dudes.
Affirmative.
Reinforcements have arrived. New construction options. Building.
Reporting.
I don't know if I need a barracks, I keep getting reinforcements.
Yes, sir.
What the heck?
Reporting. Acknowledge.
Construction
Sorry,
complete.
dog.
Affirmative. Reporting.
Our base is under attack.
Agreed.
I love every sound in this game. And the music, which
Yes,
I
sir.
would be cranking up if it weren't likely to get copyright struck.
Unit lost.
Okay, well, you know what?
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Rocket Man, it's up to you.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Oh
lost.
no, the dog ate the Rocket Man. Well, you know what? That's probably deserved. Okay, well, anyway, this game is fun. I'll
Battle
play it forever.
console terminated.
I really want to keep playing that, but we gotta try something else. We're gonna go with something from 1999. Need for Speed High Stakes, and I got the set to Direct 3D Device 1, which show off some of that 3D acceleration, which we haven't actually seen yet.
Electronic arts.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. You just never know what's going to happen. It worked perfectly fine last night. You know, alright, time has passed. I've uninstalled and reinstalled it a couple of times, changed some drive settings, some graphics settings, it still freezes. Tried Need for Speed 3, same exact issue, and that's interesting. Even though I was working last night, and that's doubly confusing. So I went and changed around the graphics drivers, put some new ones in there, also changed around DirectX versions, which that's about the only thing that was different from last night that I can think of, and that was DirectX. I had 5 or 6, and it's got 7 after I put some more games after testing. Anyway, let's see if Midtown Madness 2 does anything. So hardware 3D is selected. Let's turn on some stuff. Right. This just froze as well. The somewhat odd thing is I can run stuff in software mode perfectly fine, like Pod and Red Alert. Half-Life even works, and OpenGL. It just seems to be Direct 3D. What's driving me nuts is that I was playing Direct 3D accelerated stuff yesterday without a hitch. So yeah, OpenGL 640 by 480. 3D acceleration. Let's get that going.
I've just been informed that the sample is ready, Gordon. It should be coming up to you any moment. Look to the delivery system for your specimen.
So yeah, this is what I was playing last night. It's running. Oh my god!
Get away from something.
Very loudly. But yeah, running just fine. Of course, so were the other games, so I don't know. And the fact that, I mean, you know, we can do 3D acceleration and whatnot, just not direct 3D. That's the weird part. So, yeah. Yeah, it does seem to be performing a little less good than I would expect for a 32 megabyte. Whenever this is, Riva TNT2 or something. Oh, crap. Yeah, something like that. Now, I had a TNT2 Vanta LT 16 meg card back in the day that was really quite bad, but that was on a... Dang it. That was on a much faster system than this. I deserve to die. Anyway, OpenGL works perfectly fine is my point. And also Half-Life is awesome. But that's always been the case. Yeah, like what is up with this bizarre Direct3D, DirectX problem? So software rendering we expect to be fine because it has been. Now hardware acceleration. It worked there for like a second, but see the thing is, it tends to be like going on for a while. Let's try that again. I just don't know. Quake should be fine, right? Yep. So far so good anyway. Don't have mouse turned on, but that's fine. '90s computers, man. It especially gets wonky when you're like on that edge between something from 96, 97, then moving on to like 98, 99, 2000. I don't know. It's why these can be such an interesting, frustrating, rewarding type of experience, honestly. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. SimCity 3000 Unlimited. We'll see if that still works. It was last night, but that don't mean crap these days. Let's just do Craterville. Not the biggest of cities, but we're on a Pentium 2. All right, a standard experience loading on a, system of this class. Once it gets all loaded in the memory, though, it's usually fine. Ish. There we go. Yeah, honestly, not too far off from what I remember of my Acer Aspire. Again, with a 233 megahertz K6. So, yeah, fully playable. It just takes a second to get into it and get stuff loaded and whatever. Definitely gets more sluggish when you crank up the speed, but this is how I played it, more or less back in the day, so. It's kind of more laid-back experience, right? So it's not the worst. You got used to it for sure back then. Yeah, like I said, once things are all loaded in and whatnot, it seems to perform just fine for what it is. The more things change or the faster you run it, obviously that slows things down quite a bit, but yeah, not bad. I'm still just really confused about the whole Direct3D thing, but I'm sure there's a solution. All right, couldn't put it down, so it's another hour or two later, and I just straight up swapped the GPU. After also trying a patch for high stakes and seeing if that did anything, nope. Also tried another version of DirectX, nope. Tried another version of the NVIDIA drivers, nope. So I put a GeForce 2 MX440 in here, a 64 megabyte AGP card, and yeah, it's now working with Need for Speed 3 and 4, and presumably Midtown Madness 2 and whatever else wasn't working. Yeah, I guess we just had some issues here with whatever this Riva card TNT2 piece of crap was. And speaking of which, it's like running exactly the same as that card was. So I'm assuming we're limited just in other ways, pretty much as you'd expect for being a Pentium 2 system. But I mean, we got plenty of RAM in here now, 256 megs, a 64 megabyte AGP GPU, but you know, we've got the bus speed of, what is this, 66 megahertz, I think? So yeah, I mean, it's really not ideal for late 90s kind of things at all, but that's fine. That's just how it is. And this is a 640 by 480, by the way, but yeah, I'm just glad that we got it working again. I still don't know what's up with this. I gotta test it on another system now and see what the heck. About the only other thing I want to test before we do any kind of cleaning is a little bit of DOS here, so the PC speaker, which it does have, technically, a little piezoelectric beeper that's not very loud. But hey, at least it's there. Yeah, I just like it loud, so. FM synthesizer, though, this is a bit of a... yeah. It sounds wrong. In like every way. The wrong pitch, the wrong sound. Just everything. I mean, AdLib is often wonky emulated on these earlier kind of sound cards, or PCI sound cards like this, but that's one of the weirder ones. But we also have some nice Sound Blaster compatibility for the Pro 2.0 and all the settings that you would prefer it to be, as well as a general MIDI implementation with Wavetable. It's not bad, but there is another option. I know it's all flickery here, just give me a sec. Yeah, you have 2 and 4 megabytes that it comes with, and there's also some others you can download and add to it, but... well, I don't know about better, but it's certainly different.
Come get some.
And those drums are rather tinny sounding on this particular sound set. And what is that synth? Okay, that is quite the choice for that instrument. I don't know, it's kind of charming.
Can't hit anything.
At least we have a goofy synthesizer to keep us company. I should probably go ahead and start cleaning, but yeah, there's hover on here. I can't say no to this.
Yeah, give me that blue flag.
Dude. Aha! Nice! All right, now, let's go and clean this thing. It's so dirty. Nice. Yeah, it wasn't quite as dirty as I thought it might be. Just your normal assortment of years of built up dust and dirt and grime, especially in the corners and the crevices. But otherwise, really not too bad. It was primarily these two side panels that had the most scuffs, and there's still some scrapes, but I'm really happy that it's not unevenly yellowed or something, as these are prone to do. But yeah, another thing that I did last night is actually got the original CD-ROM drive working again. So yeah, I just went ahead and took everything apart and realized, thankfully, that the gear didn't actually break. It just completely came off. It's a little thing about yay big, you know, like the size of a frozen pea, little white gear, and it controls everything pretty much in the bottom left corner area there. And without that, it just eject doesn't happen, and everything gets screwed up. I also had the very similar problem with this. Remember, this one would just eject and go back and eject and go. It just wouldn't do anything other than that. It was basically the same thing inside. A much cheaper construction, a lot more plastic parts. I had like half plastic rails instead of metal ones, for instance. But yeah, the eject is working now. I haven't actually tested reading, but I'm assuming it's fine with it being all cleaned up, the laser cleaned and rails relubed and all that. So anyway, let's get this put back together. Crap, why did I put the side on first? That was a... You gotta be kidding. I think the sides need to go on last. Son of a... Whew. All right. A rather silly series of flubs there, but anyway, I think it's looking rather fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty good as it was, but it's even better now. This kind of bulbous design really hasn't grown on me too much over the course of working on it this week. This 2-day project that turned into 5 days, but yeah, cleans up well for sure, right? And you know, these sort of rounded OEM, slightly bulbous machines from companies like Gateway and Acer and whatnot back in the late 90s were certainly of the late 90s. Very much of their time. I wish that door was hinged. But whatever, we've got a pretty nice Pentium 2 233 megahertz MMX machine with a sound card that isn't great. I will probably swap that out at some point if I really feel like it. I don't know, I may as well just keep it original. Besides, sometimes an old PC doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes it's just fine being present, acting as a nice representation of a fleeting moment in computing history. The kind of system that didn't set any records, but nonetheless acted as many people's first system to go online, or the computer that played their favorite game. The machine someone used to make printed greeting cards to brighten someone else's day. And I think this type of Gateway 2000 desktop represents that fully. I still love my expensive old PC unicorns, but I have an increasing appreciation for computers like this that scream average. So I'm fine with this G6 233M not having the perfect sound card, or the ideal GPU, or the fastest processor, or whatever. In a way, I'd like to revert it even closer to what it originally had from the factory, with less RAM and a simpler video card going on, but we'll see. For now, though, I'm enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it come together and get cleaned up. I rarely do these type of videos since I inevitably end up convincing myself they're boring, but I hope that wasn't the case for you, and if you're still watching, then I'll assume as much. And if you do like this type of thing, then check out my previous restorations, or stick around. New LGR things are continually in the works. And as always, thanks for watching.